everyone, it's Will.
And James. This is our recap for Amazing Race 35, episode 10. Everyone loves a comeback story. I feel like I say this every week, but I'm so excited to recap this week's episode, especially because we have two very special guests. Neither of them have made an appearance on the Pitstop recap yet. So let's just go ahead and introduce them, shall we? First and foremost, the winner of season 16 and one of our dear friends, Jordan Pious. Hey, Jordan.
What's happening, my friends?
How's it going?
Oh, it is going.
I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen you.
It's been too long.
Especially me.
Especially Will.
This is true. I guess it's only been a couple weeks for us, James, but I get to see Will. Are you coming to the finale party? Oh, boo.
I've tried. It's a lost cause to convince him at this point. And then without further ado, I would say our guest of honor, the queen herself, Ashlie Martin. Hey, Ashlie.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're good. We're so excited to have you join us for this recap. I know we did an exit interview with you and Todd a few days ago, but actually it was just yesterday. But we don't get much time with you guys, so it's going to be fun to do a little bit more of a deep dive.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Jordan, before we recap this episode, for all the Amazing Race fans who haven't been keeping up with you since your season, what's new in your world?
Please, I just ran the race like a minute ago. Oh, wait, it's been 14 years. 14 years. It's okay.
That's
nothing like feeling old when you realize you did the Amazing Race 14 years ago. So it's fun to live vicariously through you, Ashlie, as you live. What have I been up to is boring stuff. I've been working, living in New York now. I lived in Chicago before that, Boston before that. So I've just been moving around, working my butt off, spending time with family, friends, traveling because I kind of like to do that. I'm up to 80 countries, 80.
Really?
Yes, I know.
And you were in Stockholm when this leg actually was filming. Is that correct?
I was physically in Stockholm. Unfortunately, not racing with all the other teams, nor did I get to like special guest star, which that's been fun to see throughout the season a bit. But it was great to just be there and to know that the Amazing Race was happening in Sweden at the same time.
That's cool.
The weather.
So you didn't see them falling out of the planes?
No, I didn't. And thank God I didn't. And Ashlie, what were you doing looking up the place you were going to find out that you were going to skydive to then go nuts for 12 plus hours as you
that was probably the worst part, was just the anticipation. Like every time we went to the airport, immediately we looked up where we were going. And as soon as we saw it was skydiving, my hands started sweating. And like I just saw I read the whole time from that moment until I jumped out of the plane. That's all I could think about. So I'm still shocked that I did it. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you know what? It's brilliant that you and Todd even took the time to do that. Will and I did that every single leg. Mm-hmm. And you know what? As much as it was to get information about the country and the city we were visiting, for me, I was more so like, what's heights related in this city that I may have to avoid if it were a roadblock? I always looked, I was like, is bungee jump an attraction there? A skydiving attraction there? I just needed to be mentally in the know. But for you said it was awful just knowing like that's what was coming your way.
Absolutely. I kind of wish that we didn't look that up, to be honest, because that's all I could think about. It messed with my head, like the whole plane ride, even that night. I mean, we really didn't get a lot of sleep the night before. I think we had maybe an hour and a half of rest, but that whole time I'm laying in our little cot and my eyes wide open. And I'm just like, I could not sleep. And so it was just so stressful. So it probably would have behooved us to not look it up. Yeah. So Jordan, it was awful.
Jordan, you didn't skydive on your season, right? But you
I
did do a heights related thing. Wasn't it for a fast forward?
Yes. I was like, there were two other heights related things that my brother, the good man that he is, did. But the one heights thing we had to do was, the Singapore Flyer at the time was the tallest Ferris wheel in the world. And we rode it to the top and at 541 feet in the air, got out and walked from one capsule to the other.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I have clammy
That
palms.
feels scarier than skydiving.
I agree.
Honestly, they're all scary, but no, I mean, we were fast and just like anybody else.
And you both had to do that, right? Or was it just...
both have. And my brother's like, I'll go first. I'm like, if you go first, I will never follow. If you're standing behind me, like, go use. Anyway,
Yeah.
Just push him, or you get pushed. You got to push him.
I got pushed.
I have to say, Jordan, what I lived when you said you were living vicariously through us on this season. I lived vicariously watching your season because your season is the most memorable for me because you guys ran through where Todd and I eloped in France when we were younger. And
was that season?
It was, you guys ran through Reims, France. And I was like welling up with tears when you guys, because that's right where we lived. So it was just like, your season's my favorite for sure. Hands down.
I didn't put the connection together. I love this whole thing right
now.
Yes, talk about this in your exit interview.
I know. So when I saw that you were coming on, I was like, this is perfect.
You didn't try to say it the way the French do, which is why but like hum.
How do they say it?
It's like hum.
Like
it's like it's France. It's like ridiculous. So I never did that. Even living there, I was like, I'm not going to say it like that. No.
Literally, it's like, we're going to Reims.
All the time. Yeah.
We sound a little bit, no,
the best was the cathedral. To this day, that when you guys are asking them about, I know, it was
Kathy
cute.
Drone. Yeah.
Kathy Drone.
My brother's like, we got it. She said Kathy Drone, we're fine. I'm like, okay. Anyway, on to this season.
No, I love this connection. So great. But yes, let's dive into episode 10. All the teams are off to Sweden. They're flying 1,000 miles from Slovenia. Once their teams were instructed to travel by taxi to Stockholm's Falls Karms Club. I probably butchered that, but they have to get there and grab a number. Everybody's on the same flight. So we know right off the bat, this is an equalizer leg, despite the different times at the pit start. I know we touched on it briefly already, but Ashlie, like, how long were you guys in the airport for? Because it looked like you guys left at like 6 or 7 in the morning, but then by the time you actually get to the hangar for the skydiving stuff, it was like 12 hours later.
So when we opened the Clue, we had to actually take a long bus ride to the airport. We get to the airport and we weren't there for very long, hopped on a plane. But what ends up happening is, I guess, like what I didn't realize is like Sweden, I guess the sun never goes down. Like it's lighter there, like 24/7. So I was kind of shocked, but I can't really remember. I couldn't give you like specifics on how long that flight was, but I felt like it wasn't too long. But again, I like blacked out because all I could think was red. So I could not tell you details. All I know is that we were skydiving. So.
Did the Clue say the skydiving place and that's how you figured it out, or did it have like a general?
It just told us a city, like a location to go to. So we had looked up the city and then looked up the location, and it was just like big bold red letters. Welcome to your death. That's what I read, but that's not what it said. It was just a skydiving, so.
God, that's hilarious. I mean, it's smart. I think everyone should take advantage of downtime in airports and do as much research as you can, especially when you have your notebook and you journal everything. Write everything down in there. It's so beneficial. Jordan, did you guys do anything like that on your season?
Journal things?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I journaled if like I ate a cracker. Like,
duh, you're a super fan.
Seriously, like way too much. And I was actually bummed at the end of my season when our memory challenge was literally like put in order the teams of elimination. I'm like, come on. Like I had all the languages, the currency, the people that we met, the like weather each day, the dates, the times. What are you gonna do?
Do you still have your journal?
Of course. I have it all.
Perfect.
I love reading it too, because I get far more out of that than just watching the episodes, which it's sad after. You're like, wait, this was like 24 hours for 3 to 4 weeks, and it gets truncated. At least you guys get 90-minute episodes. We're here jealous of that because you get so much more content to watch. But I mean, even then you're like, what else happened? And now I can go back to your notebook and find out.
Most of my memories. Hi, Michelle. Love you. Most of my memories from the show actually weren't in the episodes. Like most of my most vivid memories of being on the race were not even part of the race.
Or like even conversations we had with teams, like we wrote that down in our book and it was never part of the show. It's so, I love the Notebook. It's great. So everyone lands in Sweden. It's a mad dash. Everyone's neck and neck, trying to get their taxis to go to the skydiving hangar. How long was the drive from the airport to the skydiving, Ashlie?
It was about an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't but it was raining, and this whole debacle was interesting. So we had an issue when we ran out to grab our taxi, and we had wrote down the directions, right? We knew that we were supposed to go E4, I believe it was north, and that's what we hopped into the taxi and we said E4 north, E4 north. And I don't know if he just was like, listen, this is my taxi, I'm gonna run this ship, but he was like, I'm gonna hop on the E4 south. And he just started driving, and Todd was trying to communicate. And at some point he was like, I'm going to take matters into my own hands, reached over and is just like beep, boop, boop on his navigation. And we finally turned around. But once we were finally back on track, it was about an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when everyone arrives, it's a mad dash to pull numbers. Greg and John completely breeze past it, which opens the door for Joel and Garrett and Steve and Annalie to get numbers 1 and 2. I loved how Greg and John ran past them. And even Joel makes a comment like, if you guys weren't such a dominant team, I'd probably tell you where the numbers were right now. So great move on Joel's part. But you know, on the flip side, I don't know if this is evil, but I probably would have told Todd and Ashlie and Rob and Corey where the numbers were to put Greg and John towards the back more because they have been such a dominant team. I would have been like, hey, Todd and Ashlie, Rob and Corey, the numbers are right over there. Thoughts?
And I would have been all about it.
You're like, I'm Ashlie.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought that would be the way to get a dominant team. If you can't U-turn or do anything like that in that moment, to at least knock them back a little bit.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
I do like sometimes teams get so, I can't believe they didn't help me. But I did like that Greg and John weren't like poor sports about, oh, you're not gonna help me. That's fine. Like we need to figure out on our own.
It's
like
friendly competition.
And I hate when people are like, you didn't help me. They don't have to help you. They don't have to help you at all. They don't owe you anything.
So it wasn't until the next day, right? Like you guys spent the night, and you said you guys slept on cots.
So it was like I feel like where it was a like training camp for skydiving. So like people would train there. And so they had these little cabins, and it was just these tiny little bunk beds, which Todd did not fit on, that poor man. But these tiny little bunk beds, and we had dinner. And by the time we got to bed, so we had a call time at like 5 a.m., I believe. Or maybe it was 3 a.m. It was early, but we were up until about midnight. We had to like get weighed and, you know, all of that stuff, go through all the procedures. So by the time like I was ready to call it a night, we laid down for about an hour, and then it was like, get up, it's time to jump. So yeah.
Wow.
And that's
I was exhausted.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things that it's really hard to capture on the show is the sleep quality, the sleep exhaustion, just being so tired all the time. Like there is no leg of the race that you're at 100%. You can't. There's no way. And especially, if y'all slept for an hour and a half after flying, after doing all these things, being stressed out about skydiving, you're not at 100% the moment you wake up. There's no way.
Jordan, what was the weirdest place you guys had to sleep on your season?
God. I never slept. I didn't need to. It was pure adrenaline. Like I wasn't even pretending. I just like ate and stayed up. But we did sleep in tents in Bariloche, Argentina, in this like crazy, whatever you call it, ranch farm. I don't know. There were a bunch of sheep. It was wonderful. We had the best empanadas I've ever had in my life. But the tents and like the cots, which it wasn't. It was like a half an inch foam something. But that would have been it.
Did Todd fit in any of the beds on the race? Because I feel like that was a problem for Will most countries we went to.
No, we did. Yeah, no, we did. I think the hardest, which I wish they would have showed this because it was comical as much as he was like in torture. I was dying laughing because it was that tiny bus ride, that bus bed that we slept in.
Yes.
I think it was.
Oh my God.
again, I keep saying it, that poor man, but like his legs were just like up to his head, and he's like trying to be so positive, but I knew he was just so uncomfortable. But yeah, he's a trooper. So
Reed
he can't
Parker.
sleep on planes. Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about Todd looking like Buddy the Elf in a tiny bed. So
good.
I would be tossing and turning all night, just knowing that I'm going to be jumping out of the plane the next morning. You, Ashlie, did not look thrilled. I love the cuts of you, like as they're like putting the parachute on you. What was going through your head while they were getting you all geared up?
Honestly, she's like telling me like, hey, this is really important. Like, you got to remember this. And I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember, like my mind again was blank. So I was like nodding my head, and everything she was saying was like the Charlie Brown, like wah, 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 wah. Because I was just so nervous. And again, in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm really going to do this. That's what I just kept grappling with. And, Todd kept coming over like in his like boisterous self, trying to like, you're going to do this, right? Like, this is happening. And I'm like, maybe, so
Give me
that
space
was
to process it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, for most people, when push comes to shove and you're like, I'm all the way here, I made it on the race, no matter how scared you are, right? You're just like, it's happening. We're going to do it.
Especially when you're bunched up with all the other teams. I feel like there's no other option. And like, it's like this weird thing takes over your body where it's like, you don't even second guess it. You just do.
I don't know. I feel like watching people jump out of a plane and not knowing the end result for each of them sounds horrifying.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, because Ashlie, you went fourth in that lineup.
And now they're gone, and you're like, did they survive?
Right.
I don't know. I will never know.
They're all dead.
All these people.
You're next.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, because you had to sit there and watch everybody because you guys were the fourth team to jump out.
Yep.
And you said in our exit interview, you guys had to circle around for like what, 10 or 15 minutes between each jump. So that's even more time lost.
Yeah. So the way it was, I believe the first team they jumped first, and then we had to go around 15 minutes. And then it was the next two teams jumped, and then it was another 15 minutes. And then it was the last two teams. So Todd and I and Rob and Corey. So it was, again, pulling those numbers really made a difference. In that one.
Well, let's talk about you actually taking the leap. You did it.
Okay. I did it. I know. I was so excited.
Jumped out of the plane. What was it like the moment you dipped out? Because your legs were hanging over the edge.
That was the worst part. Is when, yes, the whole like the wrapping your legs underneath the plane. My brain was just like, I could not process that. And like I told you guys, she kept saying like, this is going to be beautiful and magical. Trust me. And I was like, that's a lie. Like nothing about this is beautiful. But I will tell you, I was expecting to get this like free falling, when your belly gets that free fall feeling. Yeah. And as soon as we fell, it was like, I was literally floating on air, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is magical. This is beautiful. This is everything. Yeah. I was like, this is everything she said it was going to be. And she was actually pregnant. Like the lady, like she was just newly pregnant. And so anyway, she was like very mama bear with me and like trying to make sure that I was like, okay, but no, it was fantastic. And I meant what I said. I want to go again. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Say that. You were like, yeah, I'll do it again. Where Garrett was like, it was an experience. Glad I did it, but I'll never do it again.
Yeah. It was incredible.
That's impressive that you were that present in the especially as you say, you were like feeling like you were blacked out up until, but like to really be able to enjoy and appreciate that, because I don't remember anything about those like ballsy, scary challenges. Those were like something took over me, and like I couldn't tell you when I started, when I finished, how I looked until I watched it.
I loved it. I mean, if I were to skydive anywhere, I do think Sweden is a beautiful place to do it, just because of it being an archipelago and all the different. We've been to Stockholm, and it's just stunning when you're on the water and you go through all the different
islands and stuff.
Yes, like I can't imagine seeing that from above and just how beautiful and magical, like she told you.
Yeah, I know. It was absolutely incredible.
I love it.
I guess the four of us are going back and skydiving.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it. Maybe in New York for the finale. Well, it'd be cold.
I'll still do it. Let's still do it.
That would be so wild. Well, after the roadblock, not after the roadblock, after you guys skydive, it is the roadblock. And in this roadblock, one team member had to construct a flower ring, attach it to a midsummer maypole, then raise the maypole and join the circle dance around it in order to receive their next clue. And it's no secret. We all know that Rob and Corey have an express pass. This is the last leg of the race for them to use it. They show up and they just decide to use it. Now, I'm curious, Jordan, do you think, as a super fan of the race, was this the time to play their express pass? Or should they have waited?
No way. And I mean, granted, you can Monday morning quarterback this stuff now. And the biggest thing you learn when you actually go on the race is how much easier it seems when you're sitting on your couch watching it versus what they're going through. So we don't know what they truly saw and didn't see, but it felt like they made the call very early without truly understanding the length of time, the level of difficulty of the challenge.
Right.
And so for sure, it seemed like a missed opportunity. And certainly in retrospect, as you go on in the episode, you realize it really did have an impact and it would have been better to use later.
It's almost like because they were the last to show up, they were the last to jump out of the plane, they were feeling the pressure of being in the back. I think they just prematurely played it. But I feel like if you are bunched up with all of the other teams at a task,
you're good.
You're good. You have all eyes, you have all your eyes on all the teams. Like that is like a blessing in the Amazing Race. When you were with other teams, you're good. You're solid. So I wouldn't have played it either. Do you think we would have, Will?
No, I it's very rare that in a leg of the race there's going to be only one challenge, like a roadblock or like one detour. And so if that was the first one, seeing that it's just like a get it done and go on challenge, I think you would know that, okay, later there might be another roadblock or there could be another detour. And I think for them, why not use it later just in case it's one of those situations where it's two roadblocks. Corey does this one, and then the next one, Rob has to do it, and it's something that he's not. Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's something that he just can't do, or that he just doesn't have the skills to do. You know what I mean? I just think you should wait.
Yeah,
as long as you can.
I would. I mean, especially if it's the last task of the leg, it's almost like a guarantee pass to the pit stop. But now it's just a pass to the next task. Ashlie, what do you think? I know you are a fan of the race too. Would you have played it at this point, or do you think you would have held on to it?
No, I would have held on to it because, like you said, having everyone in your sights is a huge advantage. And Rob is good at everything. I feel like Rob could have done this, or quick. He consistently blazes through things. So I feel like I don't think they should have used it here. Now, I wish they didn't use it here because then I felt like it would have given us a little more opportunity to kind of like stay in the game. But I think it was a wasted opportunity for them. They should have held on to it a bit. And Corey even mentioned that when Annalise, when, we see that lead kind of diminish when they run into each other. I think even Corey mentions like, shoot, we probably should have held on to it.
Agreed. I mean, like Annalise breezed through this roadblock. Like she made that look effortless. And so much so Greg observes that. And he's like, well, if she got it that quickly, then perhaps I don't need to be that meticulous with this task. So knowing the task, and we got to watch it, Ashlie, you did this roadblock. So tell us a little bit about what was it, do you think that you were really being judged on? Do you think it was as meticulous as it needed to be? What was your experience like?
Well, coming off the Lotus challenge, in my mind, I'm thinking that it's going to be as brutal because again, they were just, you didn't know what they were looking for. And so I really just was like, this is going to be the most freaking beautiful wreath I'm gonna like ever build in my life. But I think at the end of the day, it didn't matter the amount of greenery. What they were looking for was just to make sure that you had the flowers, the right amount of flowers in the particular order. So in retrospect, I probably should have just threw on a little bit of greenery and then focused on the coloring of or the leaves.
Okay, so then when you finally get it done, how far behind were you, do you think, from the team in front of you?
Gosh, I think who left? I think it was Joel and Garrett, right? They left right before us. I think we were probably, I asked Todd and he said that we were probably about 15, 20 minutes behind Joel and Garrett. So not terrible, but again, we don't know what's, but we are substantially far behind the teams that had already left. So we kind of, probably about 20 minutes.
Do you think this was the moment for you where it just started to get in your head a little bit? Like, oh, we're in last place. What was going through your head at that point?
So not quite here. I felt like I was upset that we were last. I felt like I was always, anytime we were in the back, I'm always like, worst doomsday scenario. And, and Todd was like, no, but there's flowers and sunshine and and I'm like, we're last. So it wasn't until a little closer to when we were doing the subways. Yeah. Travel by subway. That I started to kind of really realize that, shoot, we don't see any teams because we didn't get lost anywhere. We found things rather quickly. So I just kept thinking that there was going to be a challenge up ahead that was going to be a little more difficult. Maybe there's another, roadblock, or you never know. But it wasn't until a little bit later when, the subway situation and we didn't see anybody. But at this point, I was still feeling hopeful.
Jordan, if you and Dan were on this season, who out of the two of you do you think would have ended up doing this roadblock?
Oh, please, it would be me. Anything building a wreath, I would be on that. But these are the challenges that I always find so interesting on The Amazing Race. Again, as a viewer versus when you're on it, because I don't think that all the viewers know how little or how much information is given, even when you're selecting between two detours or when you have to decide which of your team members is going to do a roadblock. Yes, there are times when you see what it is, but this is one of those where you then have a model. You're to your point earlier, Ashlie, how meticulous do I have to be? And the judging doesn't always give away what they're looking for. In this case, it seemed like they did because they were counting and you could tell, okay, if they're counting, then it must be something about the number of flowers or whatever. But it's far more challenging than it seems for these, what can look like simple tasks, because you don't know exactly what you're solving for or what good looks like. Yes, you have a model. You're like, how much do I have to replicate each detail?
Right.
No, I would have been all over this. And actually, I would have spent 2 times as long as you did, because I would have every little green leaf added in there. I would have extra flowers. It would be double-sided, everything. I would have been messing.
Well, good that I'm not alone.
No. I appreciated your attention to detail and thought you should have gotten 2 yeses.
Thank you. Thank you.
Reed Barker says if they wouldn't have used it, then maybe Annalie and Steve would have taken the bus after the penalty, which then could have been what Todd and Ashlie needed. And then on the flip side, Sandy, we'll talk about this in our overall thoughts on the episode. But yeah, this leg really didn't give any chance for Todd and Ashlie to catch up because it was so linear. We will definitely talk about that. And then the Tar historian himself, Logan, is in the live chat and says, so Jordan wasn't featured in the Sweden episode despite being there the same day it filmed after all.
That's right, Logan. You know it.
We're too a clue giver.
Seriously, I was ready.
You could have been there. You could have been on the little pier with the boat.
I could have been waving them as they jumped
you could have a sailor hat.
He should have been dancing around the maypole with everyone.
Tell me about it. I would have been the pole. Whatever.
Have the wreaths hanging from your arms.
Too funny. Well, after the Roblox team had to travel by boat and then search the Royal Dramatic Theatre for a violinist with their next clue. They then had to travel by subway to Solna Centrum metro station to find their next clue. Yeah, this is just another, I think, task, in my opinion, that made this leg just feel very linear. It's just a show up, find it, get your next clue. And that's what most route infos are. But it looked beautiful. And when Will and I were in Stockholm, we got to see the outside of the Royal Dramatic Theatre. Never got to go inside. Ashlie, how quick was it for you and Todd to just get in there, see the violinist, and get out? Because it looked like everyone did it pretty quickly, with the exception of maybe Rob and Corey. I feel like they went on the backside of the theater, and
I don't know what they were doing. They were, they're like, maybe, I don't know what they were doing, but it was, like you said, it was fairly easy. Just go to the main entrance. And I was a little surprised how a few of the teams were just kind of like, where do we go? Like, once you're in there, I mean, it was, you saw her, you heard her. I mean, like I said, we didn't have any issues when it came to finding locations, but this place was stunning, absolutely breathtaking inside. So it's those little moments. Yeah.
I swear this, and it just showed it, but like when you walk in there and you're looking around, I have such an appreciation for when racers take a second and actually look at what you are.
We'll play it again.
Literally, like, this is gold. It's like you are appreciating the moment, you're taking it in. Like, we so often can't do that, but it's like if that second is what costs us, like at least I was in the moment and could appreciate the beauty around me, and I just loved that you were taking it in.
It was absolutely beautiful. And I rewatched it and I was trying to see if anyone else did it, because like you said, it's really hard when you're racing to take those moments and just appreciate where you are. But that was incredible.
I feel like it's like true fans of the show who like, they want to do this and like potentially win it, but also like just to do it to live out a dream. They don't lose sight of taking advantage of those moments. So I agree, Jordan. I'm so glad you caught that. I definitely caught that as well. Loved that.
I paused it. I like paused and like just looked at your face and was like, "Thank you, Ashlie." Like, thank you.
I'm surprised Todd wasn't like, "Hurry up!" No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Andy, Jordan should have been the one playing the violin.
Thank you. Could have been my second role. Look at this. Why limit just being the pole?
God, that would have been good. So let's talk about what Reed mentioned earlier, this bus versus subway debacle with Steve and Annalie. The police have to take the subway, but we see that Steve and Annalie, at first I thought that they were just asking the bus driver for direction to the metro station, which I thought was brilliant. But then she like sits down and makes herself at home on the bus.
I know.
Like, girl, what are you doing? Like, that's a bus.
Well,
but I do think there's some little bit, maybe Will, you might agree with this. I do think there's a little bit of a mishap in my mind. Is that because aren't some of the buses in Stockholm on tracks?
Yes.
Yes. So it's like, the lanes, you see the tracks on the street, it doubles as a busway and a metro way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
interesting.
Both.
But it's a gray area. But I do say that that's a bus.
That's a bus. That's a bus.
That was a bus. That was a bus. That had, look at the wheel.
But there's the tracks. There's the tracks though.
But the tracks, the metro does pass, but it does double as, that's a bus. That's 100% a bus.
So brilliant thinking on Rob and Corey's part to be like, wait, yo, this is a bus.
I can't believe that they said something.
I seriously.
You and me, like, I agree. I was screaming at my TV.
There's something like camaraderie on the race. Yes, it happens. Friendships, alliances, whatever you want to call it, happens. You are in the final 5. You cannot do something like that. What if they pass you up, you get lost, and you're screwed, all because you helped them figure out that that was a bus and not a subway? I can't, it blows my mind that they even attempted to be like, hey, fix your mistake already.
So agree.
Well, what I recalled, I think it was the episode before when we were in Slovenia, and it was they had to carry the wooden backpacks.
Yeah.
And I remember Corey saying, I think Garrett was asking for directions, and Corey's like, we're at the point in the race where we're not helping each other anymore. Like it's too tight. And then so I watched this and I was like, well, thanks a lot, Corey. You just helped. Like, are you serious? So I was like, a part of me was like, and I love everyone, but a part of me was like, oh man, I would have loved to see Steve and Annalise get a penalty. Right. And, but, so I'm with you. You don't help at this point in the race. Like, you just don't do it.
No, I mean, I love how Sandy's same page with you, Ashlie. Sandy saying Corey really said last leg that he didn't want to help any team at that point of the race, but fully worked with Steve and Annalise this entire leg. Like they were a 4-person team from this point forward, the rest of the leg.
And Corey can't help himself because he is like that good and pure of a person. It's like sometimes you got to be a little edgy, you got to have a little like beat of ya, but like it's like sunshine, roses, and puppies. And like I feel like if I'm gonna be mean to this person, it would be like
James and I got really good at playing dumb a lot. People asking questions like, oh, I don't know, what do you think? Like that was like the go-to of like, I don't know the answer, but always knew the answer. You can't
knowing when to help versus not. That's the name of the game. It's knowing when to play your cards right and not play them.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, they could have easily just pretended like they didn't see them, or just even if they looked in and then there was the whole what if. Shoulda, woulda, coulda game, but
I wonder if they thought that they were getting information, so they wanted to get that same information too. But again, like once Annalise sat down, it was like, "What are you doing? This is the bus." Reed says Annalise did show them a strategy to scrape the muscles last leg, so maybe this was like a repayment of some kind. Who knows? But, like a scratch of your back, scratch mine.
I know, Will. I'm with you.
Sure.
And I'm with
pull
you.
a chain against a pole. Okay.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
It's like rereading my clue for me. Thank you.
After this whole situation, it is time for the detour. This leg's detour was a choice between sort or serve. In sort, teams had to sort a pile of trash into the correct receptacles in order to receive their next clue. In serve, one team member had to memorize a 3-course noble banquet dinner and relay them to their partner, who had to then find the correct dishes from a vast spread. Once all 4 noble, whatever their names were.
Nobel.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, babe. Nobel. Teams received their
They're
next
also
clue. Noble. Thank you. They're noble. With this detour, Jordan, what do you think you and Dan are choosing between serve and sort?
I mean, we always would pick the like more controllable. So like that would be the sort versus serve, because again, there might be language barrier, whatever, you don't know where you're delivering it to. Those types of things we would try to avoid in general. I mean, the brothers made it look pretty easy, all things considered, but we definitely would have gone with sort because there's a start and an end to that, and you can control it.
Yeah, fair. Will,
we saw.
I think so. I think we would have chosen sort. I think language would have been something that I would be concerned about.
It would have been hard.
Yeah.
But I think similar to what Greg and John figured out, that if you just memorize the first word, you could probably pick up on what the dish was. I think it would be okay, but I do think we would have gone with sort because I love recycling.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say no. I was going to say when we opened it and we saw the dish, it was like Nobel Peace Prize winner or recycle. We were like, recycle's like way like up. Yeah, no, that's like no brainer for us. Like, we're gonna recycle for sure. I like recycle all the time, and it was just a no brainer. But yeah, we saw Nobel Peace, and we were like, we're not even finishing the rest of that clue. We're gonna do recycle.
Yeah, it just was a more straightforward task that you can do together, where with the serve, you're separated from your partner and you each had your own individual task. I just think serve was the better side of the detour for this. But yeah, Greg and John just make everything look so effortless. Like,
oh, you know French? Like,
they just like, of course they know French. Like, just pull that out of their pocket. But it was nice to see them do it though, because if everyone had done the sort, then we wouldn't have been able to see the serve side of the detour. But yeah, definitely the sort was the way to go. For sure. So Ashlie, I'm assuming never saw teams after the Maypole.
Nope. No, we were just this. And so every like task we would go to next, I was getting like a little deeper into my little, pity party that I was having for myself. But no, we never saw another team after that. So
I think another thing that would have helped, which hurt the two of you, was because all the teams were so bunched up, that sense of urgency existed the entire leg of the race. Whereas if you don't see anybody, you're like, you feel the urgency, but also sometimes teams are like, oh, I think I'm in first, I can relax a little bit. I think it would have been a little less chaotic and like a little more spread out if they didn't work together to find shit.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Well, after the detour, they have to go to the Marina to get their next clue. And then that next clue directs them to find Phil at the pit stop. Love Stockholm. I actually wish they did more.
Yes.
Like
in the city. Yeah.
There's so much beautiful architecture, as you can see here. But like there's so much going on in Stockholm that I wish we would have got to see more of. Yeah. Rather than them showing up at this random marina that really has no impact to me as a viewer, because it's just a marina with a boat. Like it would have been cool to see them go into Stockholm and get their next clue.
So, puppy, hi. One of my favorite parts of Stockholm is this downtown area where the alleyways are just very chaotic. I would have loved to find some random shop to get your clue instead of going to this very open and very public marina that, to me, could have been easy to spot with that huge sign. But if you run in through the streets and the alleyways, it could have been a little more.
Old Town Stockholm would have been cool to see for sure, especially because it's right by the city hall. Like, isn't it like right behind it? Yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been a good spot for a route info.
For sure.
I mean, Jordan, you were there. Why didn't you give them this feedback?
Honestly, like I'm still trying to figure out when this leg started and ended, and like why I missed like really seeing you guys, because it just seemed really quick. Even when I was there, I was like, what the heck? Like I blinked and I missed it. I literally blinked and missed it. But no, I mean, I totally agree. I think there could have been so many things more Sweden feeling in this, and it just felt like it was a very linear leg and it didn't give a lot of opportunity for movement. But as you see when they're checking into the pit stop, I mean, this is like the Amazing Race producers' dream, is that they have like 4 teams that are hitting the mat within a couple minutes of each other. So I felt like that part was cause for celebration, but it would have been nice to see some of the movement change even more. And
let's talk about that, because it became a 6-person race.
Oh my god!
No offense to John and Greg, but I'm not helping them at all under any circumstances at this point. They've had 4 first place finishes in a row. What are Stephen, Annalie, and Corey and Rob doing? Like, get away from them! Don't give them.
To their benefit though, like, they're all looking for directions. Like, they can't. How are you going to get away from them? You can't like go the opposite direction. They're going to follow you if they think that you got information from somebody. If you're talking to somebody looking at their phone, like, what are you going to be like? Get away? Like, it just feels like this moment they couldn't do anything to separate.
That's fair.
Which is it's just unfortunate because it's not fun. I
would have run away from the pack. If honestly, okay, all kidding aside, if in that moment it's like there's 2 other teams with me and I know there's 2 teams behind me, there is like we were never vying for first place in any of the legs except for the last one. Like that was not our goal. It was just don't come in last, and then we want to come in first in the last leg. But like in that case, I'd rather split from the pack, and worst case scenario, I come in third or whatever, but at least I'm figuring out the information on my own. I mean, it was the blind leading the blind for a little bit.
Yeah.
With those teams.
So much so Joel and Garrett breezed to first place. Like, no issues whatsoever. I mean, Joel and Garrett were even shocked that they even got first
yeah.
place on this leg. Ashlie, do you know what happened? Like, have you talked to these teams? Like, why did they get so lost? And did you have any issues?
No, we had no issues. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk with them on what had happened here, but I know that the subway station was kind of in a very weird spot. Like once you get out of the marina, you had to kind of take this little hike, and we just asked someone that was literally working at the marina.
Yeah, they showed that was smart.
Yeah, so she was like, "Oh, it's a hike, it's a trek, but you just take up this hill, follow the signs, and you're gonna see it. It's kind of hidden, but you can't miss it pretty much." So I don't know if they just thought it was going to be in a more obvious location, because it really was in the hills of this, this particular park. So, but yeah, we didn't have any problems, finding it at all. So when I saw them, when I watched the show, I was like, maybe we do have a chance, but that's how I like just seeing how lost that they all got. But I will agree. I think traveling in packs like that can really ruin your game.
It can.
Well, because imagine like you and Todd actually getting ahead of them. Now they're all racing for last, and only one of them is
gonna make it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just, I don't know. It was just stressing me out watching them all run together.
Same.
I had a moment where I was like, okay, Jordan, like, don't be like the type of viewer that you wish people weren't when they were watching your show or whatever, and be like, no, you idiot. I was like, in that moment, if someone's like, go up the hill, I'd be like, wait, what? I'm trying to find a subway station. Like, girl, that's down. Like, why are you making me go up? So like, there was a little part of it for me that just felt counterintuitive, that I don't know if just, I don't know, instinctually you would go more down, and if that created some confusion. But it just, it seemed like a bigger, and I don't know if this is part of the 90-minute episode or whatever, them wishing they had challenges that were harder, longer, but like it felt like it was a big moment in finding this station. And we never know how long that really took.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when I saw them running, I was like, what road are you guys on? Like, you guys look like you're on next to a highway. Like, what are you on the E4? Like, where are you guys? Like, I have no idea where. It was not that far. So I'm curious as to where on God's green earth they were running to.
Yeah. So this is just a advice for any future racer who may be watching this. We're in 2023, almost 2024. You go up to a person.
Yes.
The first thing you say is, can I use your phone?
Yeah.
Can I physically see where I need to go?
Yes.
I think asking a local, hey, where is this? And they're like, oh, go left, go right up there, set the street.
It's not as effective.
That you're just going to get lost and not understand, because it's just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
First thing you do, ask for their phone. And I know a lot of teams, and us too, we hated asking for help because you get like a 5-minute stop because it's time the waiver, and it is annoying. But to do it just once, physically see it with your own eyes, then understand where you need to go, because you can visualize and be like, okay, I know the streets and the names and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to save all your sanity to see it, because they never asked to use a phone until the last person.
Yep. And you hit the nail on the head too, when you like the time that's spent getting the release form signed or whatever from the people that you talk to. But that's even more the reason that it's not don't do it, it's do it
effectively
once. Like use that time to get the right information and see it, because if you're just asking people to point whatever and then you ask 10 different people, it ends up adding up more time than just doing it right the first time. But we don't.
And I feel like the crew is so efficient with that stuff too. Like they know how to get in and get out with signing the waivers. It's not like they're gonna take 10 minutes. Like, I need you to sign this, because if they don't have to sign it, they don't push it on them. If they don't want to sign
and half the time they let you go while the person finishes signing it. Like usually it's not 5 minutes. Usually it's like 30 seconds. It's really quick. And they'll finish it when you're in a taxi or like after the leg is over. I don't know. That was driving me nuts when I was watching this.
Yeah, no, you're right. Ask for help and run your own race. Like, trust yourself. I just think if you've made it this far, and I know we used teams throughout the race. Like, and it's, you know, you need to, I'm not saying be the Cowboys and never be friends with any team or work with any team, but like, especially in the latter half of the race, trust yourself. Like, you've made it this far for a reason.
Right.
And I think
you should know how to race by then.
Yes. Yeah. You start just wanting to rely on others as like a safety net, or to make sure that you're staying near other people, and you want to believe that you can beat them in a foot race, or if it comes down to it. But it's like, we're all smart. You all can figure this stuff out. You just gotta like trust yourself and not latch on, because people can lead you the wrong way. We did that.
True. Well,
we led a team the wrong way.
Well, this brings us to our pit stop. They have to travel by taxi and metro. But we have Joel and Garrett in first, then Greg and John. Third was Rob and Corey. And then it's a foot race from the edit between Steve and Annalie and Todd and Ashlie. But we never see them on camera together. So it makes me think that maybe it wasn't that close of a foot race. Maybe Ashlie, you can debunk that. But Todd and Ashlie get to Steve and Annalie get to the pit stop. They're all lined up, all four teams, like we talked about, Jordan. You're right. That is a producer's dream. Like, that was close. But Todd and Ashlie, how far behind were you? I know you talked about it in the exit interview, but for those who didn't watch that, like, how close really was it?
So like we didn't see any, unless they like shoot them off the map real quick, but we didn't see anybody. And Jordan, I don't know why you weren't standing next to Phil on this final exit.
You
that
could
would
have
have
been
been
wearing
beautiful.
a cute dress.
That should have been you.
I'm telling
It should have been you.
Roles now on this episode, and I'm here for all of them.
But no, we had asked once we finally checked in, and I even asked the producer, I'm like, how far were we? Like, were we like really out of it? And they were like, you're about 15 minutes from Steve and Annalie. So again, that was like a punch in the gut, you know, to know that you're just still that close. But there was just no point for us to make up any ground, like, at all. So it was just unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big conversation James and I had after watching it, is just how the episode just was so flat with the task. And Stockholm is such a great city. There's so much history. Why weren't we like doing something that I go back to those challenges where you have to hear music and then find the sheet music that goes with it, or like pair and compose, because you're in this beautiful dramatic theater. Why didn't you do something? And this isn't your fault, Ashlie. It's production, to just plan it to where it allows teams to fail and use skills that are unique, and that some teams are going to succeed and some teams are going to crash and burn. Throwing trash into a receptacle is, I do it every week. So it feels very, everybody probably has that skill. And then the fluke of them knowing French. It needed more things that people weren't good at, and also weren't just like, do it and go on. Do it and go on. Do it and go on.
The way I describe this to people is like, if you look at a task and you're like, what's the average time that a team would take to do it? And then you say, what is the range? If like the range and the average are so close, like it's not a task that can create the movement. Like, you need one where it's like, maybe the average is an hour, but we have people that complete it in 15 minutes and people where it takes 3 hours. Like, that's where you can create some separation amongst the teams. But all of these, it's like, that was a 20-minute task. And when you start it, you will finish it 20 minutes later. It doesn't create that movement.
And I was shocked when we got the clue at the Pompous Marina and it said, make your way to the pit stop. I was like, oh, like, already?
Yeah.
And that's when it was just like, it had sunk in, like, that's, it was at that moment I knew, like, all right, that was it. I was shocked that it was already the pit stop, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
there's a comment that says something about ABBA being there. There's an ABBA museum. It's amazing.
Yep.
Why didn't they do something like go through the museum, find their gold or platinum album that's titled this in one of the exhibits, and there should be something that says it, and fill in something that causes, I don't know,
or
searching,
or go to Wisconsin, the world's
seriously
largest open air museum. make them dress up in like old Swedish attire and have them like that museum is huge. And like there's a theme park there. Like Wisconsin's crazy. Like it's like that would have been such a really cool spot for them to go to this leg and to really trip up teams. Like that would have been awesome.
I spent an entire day. I called it Skansen because again, I have no respect for any languages. No, I do. I'm just terrible. But Skansen, Sconsin, whatever. I literally spent a day. I loved it. I was obsessed. It's so cool. It would have been the best background to film things in. They could have done glass blowing or like whatever. I mean, there's so much stuff in there that is really fun.
Yeah. And how many? It felt like there was like at least 3 or 4. Go grab a clue to tell you to go somewhere else. It was a lot of route infos this leg, and there was only 2 actual challenges. Minus, I mean, the skydiving, sure, it's a challenge, but it was more so like get a clue, go to the next place. Get a clue, go to the next place.
And I hate to say it, but I think it's the skydiving that I think ruined the leg for me in terms of the placements because of the 15-minute intervals. So Ashlie, you saying like you guys were 15 behind Steven and Ali. Like I just feel like that was just kind of the theme in terms of the departure from each task was like the 15-minute window. And I just feel like to start the leg with skydiving, I think was a disservice for teams to catch up because of
agreed.
Well, yeah. But then you have to balance it, like Jordan was saying, with the task that the range of times later on, even the first task after skydiving could have been so dynamic that teams finish it in 15 versus 3 hours, like Jordan was saying.
Needle in a haystack there, like literally. Like,
I love it.
Or imagine skydiving to the pit stop.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
End the leg with something like that. End with a bang.
Oh! I was like, wait, it was the first thing they did. You're literally just gonna skip everything and go straight to.
No, I'm thinking like if you would have just put that at the back of the leg, maybe there would have been a little bit more shuffle placements. But I think
next race.
I mean, Ashlie, you brought up a good point in our exit interview too. You were saying like if any other team were behind you and not Rob and Corey with an express pass, the leg could have been completely different outcome.
100%. Yeah. So that's why, like I said, when we grabbed 4 and Rob and Corey grabbed 5th, there was just this like looming, like, that tells me that we're automatically in last because they're going to have to use the express pass either way. So if it were any other team, we would have had a fighting chance. Yeah.
Do you have any like overall thoughts of just your entire experience? Any moments that you and Todd had that maybe weren't shown that you just want to share?
Oh my gosh. My overall experience, I mean, as a super fan, this was literally a dream come true for me. I still pinch myself that like we were even chosen and we did everything that we did. We talked about it. I do wish that they would have shown more of our goofy side. You see Todd's goofy side, I mean, with his 2 chains, and me like telling him to chill out, but that was literally him the entire race. And so I wish we had a little more of those moments. We loved interacting with the locals, and I felt like at times Todd would talk way too long, and I was always like, wrap it up, we have to go. But we truly did love every single moment. And it was an experience of a lifetime, an absolute experience of a lifetime.
And 10 legs of the race is a huge feat. That is a small group of people who've done 10 legs of the Amazing Race. So kudos to y'all, because it's hard. It's so hard to do. I think y'all's season was especially hard because it had a lot more challenges than most seasons, I would say. I loved watching you both, and y'all should be so proud because that's just doing 10 is hard.
No, yeah, and we are, and like I said, it is funny because when we were talking about what they show versus what, even that comment, like when we were in the train or bus or subway, and Todd was, I felt so bad because I was like, why did I say that? Like I didn't even remember saying that, but when he was like Mr. Positive and like this is such a blessing. We just need to be grateful for where we are. And I was like, well, that's what people who are losing say. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
That was real. No, that was raw. Girl, never apologize for that. I hear you. Okay. And I love the positivity, but like,
yes.
I know. I would know just those moments where I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot I said that. And, we were talking about it and joking about it, but I think that's what I do appreciate about just Todd and I is we were just ourselves and the good, the bad, the ugly. And, so like I said, I would do it again tomorrow if needed. So it was great.
We're all waiting for the call.
We're all waiting.
Let's do it together.
Looking at my phone
right now.
You know what they should do? Okay, the Squid Game show is out right now. There's 456 people. Let's do it with all racers. Not Squid Game, but like do something with that many people.
Please.
Squid Game would be kind of legit with all the racers. That would be hilarious.
Oh, it would be
red light, green light with these racers, please.
Oh my God, red light.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, take this red light. No, okay.
This is genius. Okay, this needs to happen. Season 2, Squid Game. They're going to call all former racers to compete.
We're looking at our phones. We're waiting.
Next week, for the penultimate leg of this season, teams travel to Dublin, Ireland, where they must complete 4 challenges, including swimming in the Irish Sea, dancing with the legendary river dance troupe, scoring a point with the hurling team, and reciting quotes from a famed Irish novelist. Jordan, in terms of predictions, who do you think are the strongest contenders to be the top 3 out of the 4 teams remaining?
I mean, obviously the brothers. I feel like they've just been such a ridiculously dominant.
No mistakes. They make it look so easy.
I just don't see them tripping up, but you never know. So they're definitely in it. I mean, I think Rob and Corey have that little bit of like the it factor. I don't know. They just seem like they're destined for final 3.
Yeah.
And then honestly, there's Steve and Annalise have surprised me throughout the race, and they've got that grit and that drive. So I'd probably put them in as the 3rd team. But they're really, I mean, all of the top 5 were really strong. Like I was really excited to see Wednesday's episode because I felt like it starts to get extra real, and no disrespect to all the other prior teams. They're all amazing, but like it just felt very competitive with the final 5 teams. So
yeah, I mean, in the episode, someone said like there's no weak teams right now. So like, yeah, you're right. It was very competitive and very strong teams in the top 5. So I feel like it could go any direction in terms of who will be the final 3 teams. What do you think, Will?
I think because of the description you just read for this upcoming episode, and it doesn't sound like there's a memory challenge, I feel like Rob and Corey will go through. I feel like brothers will go through. And I think Joel and Garrett, Stephen and Ali are the 2 teams that I would say one of them is going to go home.
Yeah.
Just because they typically are in the back. They typically have to rely on somebody else. They typically... something may happen with directions or navigating. The other 2 brothers and father-son, they haven't had that many mistakes in a very standard leg. And if it's a linear leg again, which I hope it's not, those are the 2 teams that I say would be in most danger of going.
Selfishly, I would just like to see Steve and Annalise in the finale because Annalise is such a scrappy racer, and I just love her aggression and like her hustle. Like she is just such a great competitor that her being in the finale for me would be interesting to watch, especially with how much more stressful the final leg is. I just think it would be really fun to see her and Steve in the top 3. But I agree. I think Greg and John and Rob and Corey, I think, are the most likely candidates to be 2 of the final 3 teams.
Yeah,
we'll find out soon enough. I know Ashley knows, and she can't tell us.
I was just gonna say you're not gonna ask. Ashley,
she's got like.
You want to know my opinion? No.
I heard Todd and Ashley are in the final 3.
I know. We make another appearance.
Right. Ooh, comeback couple. Maybe there's a whole play on that too.
No.
I will say I do wish there would have been a U-turn at this point in the leg of the race too.
Agree.
I think that there should have been one. We had one at Final Five our season, and I just think at this far in the race, like it just shakes it up and it just makes it even more competitive. And I just think it would have made it a very interesting leg, and it would have made it not feel so linear.
I am so curious to find out what like all the teams think of each other. I know there are seasons where like every team is like best friends, and that's like you guys, Will and James. I feel like your season.
I know our cast is like
no one on our season like has ever talked to each other again. We're like the worst end of the spectrum. But anyway, there's always people that I think like as viewers, you're like, oh, like I love Annalise. I wonder if she's one that like other teams maybe didn't like as much, or I don't know, like, but like you see a side of it as a viewer versus the ones that are kind of racing with these teams. And it's fun to get some of the like behind the scenes, or what did teams really think about people. And of course you'll always be connected. This is a bond that never, ends. And even these decades later, people show up and they're still trying to live in this moment. So fighting regardless.
Well, maybe we can get all of that tea, Jordan, in New York for the finale. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. And
that's going to be exciting.
To meeting you in person, and Ashlie, it's going to be so much fun celebrating this season. And
likewise,
I look forward to it. It's going to be a good time.
Can't wait.
Well, don't forget we're skydiving in, right? Don't forget we're New York skydive. Okay,
could you imagine?
That's right. Just drop that into the group chat. I'm sure everyone will be like crazy.
Yeah, they'll be on board. They'll be on board.
Well, Ashlie and Jordan, thank you for joining our recap. It was so great to hear more about your experience, Ashlie, and I'm so glad it was a very positive experience and that you got to live out your dream and do it with Todd, no less. Like to be able to do it with your partner in life is just even more special and like the cherry on top. And it was fun to watch you guys this season.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Jordan, any final words before we wrap it up?
Just, I love this. I love like reminiscing. I love talking to racers that are like currently in their moment. And Ashlie, what you're feeling now and this like pinch me, it's going to happen 10, 15, 20 years from now. I can at least attest to 14 years from now, you're going to be having these moments. I'll let you know if it stops, but it's just so cool to have this connection and this family and to all the people that are watching and are still dreaming of being on the race. Like, just know there are so many of us that were dreaming the big dream and found a way to just never give up on that dream, because it is the greatest moment of my life. And it just sounds like it's the same for all of us on the call. And it's just so cool to be a part of it. So, and Ashlie, I love you and can't wait to hug you in person.
Same.
Oh my God.
Beautifully said, Jordan. Will, do you have any final thoughts?
No, Ashlie, you are beautiful. I haven't said that yet, but you are gorgeous.
The gays are
Thank you.
I need a cold shower.
You're too kind.
And I wish that I was going to New York, and I know you'll have fun, but I'm not going. So we'll have to meet up some other time and hang out.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll be there.
Well, thank you for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back next week for another recap, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, y'all.